Hello all, welcome to the Counting Well exam prep live session. We know that exams are around the corner and it's time to push yourself to study hard and wish to score good. If you study hard, then you will make a great start. So forget your fear when your paper is near and give your best shot. So we are here to help you revise your concepts before it's too late. For this, stay tuned to the session and build up the confidence to face your exams. In this session, I will take you to the chapter Data Handling from class 7. Let us see some basics from the chapter Data Handling. First of all, what is a data? Data is nothing but facts, numbers, words, measurements, observations, or just description of things. Okay, for example, when we talk about marks obtained by 10 children, it is nothing but data. Or when we have a collection of weights of a certain set of a people. So these are the numbers which represent some value, of the weights. So it is again a data. Or when we talk about the favorite fruits of a certain set of people, it is nothing but a data. So when data is collected in original form, it is called raw data. And each item of that data set is called an observation. So here you can see for the marks obtained by 10 children, suppose we have the marks obtained out of 20. So we have a set of marks, okay, and the number of marks will be 10. So if we have 12, 15, 15, 16 and so on, like that we have 10 observations in that data set. So in that case, each of that observation is of the marks. Let us see what is a frequency distribution table. Frequency is nothing but the number of times a data or observation occurs in a data set. For example, in a data set 1, 2, 2, 3 and 5. Here if you want to find the frequency of the observation 2, you can see the number of times 2 is repeated. 2 is repeated twice. That's why frequency of observation 2 is 2. Let us see what is a frequency distribution table. It is nothing but the tabular arrangement of data which shows the frequency of each observation in a data set along with the tally marks. So here you can see, for example, length of few veggies are given. So these lengths are in centimeter. We have 12 centimeter, 12 centimeter, 13 centimeter, 14 centimeter, 14 centimeter. So we are arranging this data in form of a table with the columns, length, tally marks and frequency. So here what we are showing the frequency of each observation in the third column along with the tally marks which can be seen in the second column. And here we have the observations. So we have observation, tally marks and frequency. So this is nothing but the frequency distribution table. So here we have frequency distribution table for length of few veggies. So here you can see the length 12 centimeter is repeated how many times? It is repeated 2 times. So here you can see 12 centimeter, 12 centimeter repeated 2 times. That's why the tally marks here we have 2 and frequencies 2. Correct? Then we have length as 13 centimeter, tally marks is 1, frequency is 1. Next we have length 14 centimeter. How many readings? There are 2 readings of 14 centimeter. Hence, we can see the number of times 14 occurs is 2. That's why we have frequency 2. And tally marks will be 2 times i's. So we have tally marks represented like this and frequency is 2. Let us see how to draw a frequency distribution table. For that, we have to make a table with 3 columns: category, tally marks, and number of items. Count each data observation and simultaneously place the tally marks. So this is how we have made this distribution table. Here you can see we have 3 columns. First column is of category. So we have lengths here. Then we have tally marks in the second column. Then we have number of items, which is frequency, in third column. Now we are counting each observation and simultaneously placing the tally marks as I have shown here. Next, let us see what is arithmetic mean. So it is nothing but the average of the data set. So it is given by sum of all the observations divided by number of observations. Because here we can see the number of observations. For example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 observations. So to find the arithmetic mean of this data set, what we are going to do, we are going to add all these observations. So we should have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 4 because there are 4 observations. Now let us see the example. So here we have one more example of the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5. To find the arithmetic mean of 2, 3, 4, 5, it is the sum of these numbers 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 4. So we have 14 divided by 4, which is 4.2. Let us see what are the properties of mean. It is not always one of the observations from the data set. For example, in this case, the numbers are 2, 3, 4, 5, but the mean is 4.2, which is not from this set. Correct? So this is one property. One more property is it always lies between the highest and lowest observations from the data set. So which one is the highest observation here? Highest observation is 5. Lowest observation is 2. You can see 4.2 lies between 2 and 5. Correct? And it is between 2 and 5. Let us see what is range. Range of any data set. It is nothing but the difference of the highest observation and the lowest observation in the data set. For example, here we have a set of numbers. Okay, we have 2, 5, 6, 9. Here the highest observation is what? It is 9. Correct? The highest observation is 9. The lowest observation is 2. So if we subtract lowest observation minus from the highest observation, we get 9 minus 2, which is 7. So the range of a data set is nothing but difference of highest observation and lowest observation. Let us see what is mode. It is the observation that occurs most frequently in the data or which occurs the maximum number of times in the given data set. In other words, it has the highest frequency. So for example, to find the mode of this set of numbers as shown here, we have 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 5, 5. Okay. How many observations? We have 7 observations. And the most occurred observation here, you can see it is 2. How it is 2? You can see 2 is repeated 1, 2, 3 times. Whereas 5 is repeated only 2 times and 1 is repeated only 1 time. So the most occurred observation here is 2. That's why the mode is 2. Next, let us see properties of mode. A data set can have more than one mode because there can be 2 numbers which is repeated maximum number of times or equal number of times. Correct. For example, if we take a set of numbers as 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 5. Okay. You can see 1 is repeated once, 5 is repeated once, whereas 2 is repeated twice and 3 is also repeated twice. So which number is repeated highest number of times? It's 2 also and 3 also. That's why there are two modes for this given set. Okay. So the modes are 2 and 3 in this case. So a data set can have more than one mode, but in case of arithmetic mean, there will be only one average or only one arithmetic mean. And note that it is always one of the observations of the data set. So the mode cannot be outside the given set. Mode is always one of the observation of the data set, unlike arithmetic mean. So these two properties we should remember. Next we have median. It is a middlemost number in the data set when arranged in ascending and descending order. So the first step to find median is to arrange the data in ascending or descending order. Then we are going to see the middlemost number or middlemost observation in that set. For example, you can see the number of observations can be odd or it can be even. Okay. When it is odd, it is very simple because the middle number will be your median. Okay, middlemost number. But for that, first you have to arrange in ascending or descending order. Okay. So we are arranging this set of number in ascending order as 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. Then you can see the middlemost number is which one? It is 6. Correct. So the median is 6. Let us see when the number of observations is even. When the number of observations is even, again, first we have to arrange the numbers in ascending or descending order. And then what we have to do, we have to take the median of two middlemost numbers. So I'll show you. When we are arranging the set of numbers in ascending order, we have 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 9. Here you can see the two middlemost numbers are 4 and 6. So when we find mean, what we are doing, we are taking the sum of the observations and dividing it by number of observations. As we are taking the mean of two numbers, we'll add 4 and 6 and we'll divide by 2 because there are two observations. So we have 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Okay. Check that 5 is not in the given data set. That's why we have one property of median here, that it is not always one of the observations from the data set, unlike mode. So for mean as well, what we have, it is not always one of the observations from the data set, and same for median. Also, median lies between the highest and the lowest observations from the data set. Here you can see the highest observation is 9, whereas the lowest observation is 2, and 5 lies between 2 and 9. Let us see what is a bar graph. It is nothing but representation of data in the form of bars, and the bars should have uniform width or size. For example, here we have a bar graph for number of different vegetables grown in the month of August. So here you can see this is nothing but the title of the bar graph. And here you can see we have 1 unit equals to 10 vegetables, which is nothing but scale or key of the bar graph. Then we have two axes. We have horizontal axis and vertical axis. So the horizontal axis, we have the category. So here the category is vegetables grown. So we have carrot, tomato, zucchini, squash, and potato. Then on vertical axis, we have number of vegetables. Correct. So it is vertical line label, and here we have horizontal line label. So these are the elements of bar graph. So we have how many elements here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 important elements. So we have title, we have scale or key. Then we have horizontal line label. Then we have vertical line label. Now, drawing a bar graph, let us see what are the steps involved while we are drawing a bar graph. First, we have to mark a reference point O on the graph paper. Then from O, we are going to draw two lines or two axes, which is vertical axis and horizontal axis. Horizontal axis is named as horizontal line OX, and vertical axis is named as vertical line OY. We are going to mark the categories on which axis, horizontal one, and suitable scale is set for vertical line, and the height of the each bar shows the frequency of that observation or the class interval from the given data, and then we are drawing the bars. So these are the 4 steps. First step is to draw the two axes, horizontal and vertical. Then we have second step, marking the categories on horizontal OX axis. Then we have suitable scale for the vertical axis. And then we have to determine the heights of the bars by observing the frequencies of the class intervals. Correct? Let us see what is a double bar graph. It is nothing but representation of two data sets in the form of rectangles or bars of uniform width. Okay, uniform width or uniform size. So here we can see it has some elements. So first element is the title of the double bar graph. The number of different vegetables grown in month of July and in the month of August. Then we have scale of a graph, which is 1 unit equals to 10 vegetables. Then we have key of the graph, where the dark shaded bars represent August, whereas the light one represent July. Then we have vertical line label and horizontal line label. So what is basically the difference between double bar graph and bar graph is, in bar graph we have only one data set, whereas in double bar graph we have two data sets, and we want to compare the two data sets. Okay. So in the first case, or in the first bar graph, what we have seen, we have data set for the vegetable grown in 1 month, and here we have data set for the 2 months. So here you can see the height of the bar represents the frequency of that vegetable in respective months. Let us see how to draw a double bar graph. Again, we are going to mark a reference point O, and then we are going to draw vertical line OY and horizontal line OX. Then we are marking categories to be plotted on the horizontal line and suitable scale for vertical line. Then we have to determine heights of each of the bars from the given data and draw the bars. Then we have to mention the key of the graph. Now let us see what are events. Okay. So first is certain events. There are some certain events which are certainly going to happen. For example, we celebrate Christmas on every 25th of December. Okay. So for every year, it is very certain that Christmas will fall on 25th December. So this is nothing but a certain event. Or when we have a circular disc and we have a symbol H on both the sides of the disc, and if we toss that circular disc, then what outcome do we get? We'll always get the outcome as symbol H. So that is very certain event. So tossing a circular disc having symbol H on both of its sides will give you the outcome as H only. So that is certain event. Next, see what is impossible event. There are some events which are impossible to happen, and these events will not happen for sure. For example, here we have an ant growing 20 feet. So it is not possible in realistic life. So it is an impossible event. Or can you say what is an impossible event when we have a circular disc having symbol H on both the sides? Then tossing that circular disc and getting a symbol T is impossible event because we do not have T on either side. Okay, on any of the two sides. That's why it is an impossible event. Then we have events that can happen but are not certain. So there are some events which can happen or cannot happen, but both happening and not happening of the event is possible. So an event can happen also, and it is not certain. For example, a student scoring 50% in the next math exam. If a student can score 50% in the next math exam, then it is certain. But something happens and is not able to score. So we cannot predict whether he is able to score 50% or not. That's why it can happen, but it is not certain. So these terms are nothing but included under probability. So probability is nothing but possibility of happening something or not happening. And the properties are it is an probability of an event lies always between the value 0 and 1. That means we cannot have probability value as 2, 310 and so on. It always lies between 0 and 1. For example, probability of any certain event means event that is sure to happen, we have probability 1 means 100% chance of occurring. If any event is impossible, then the probability of that event is 0 because it is not possible. So there is no possibility. So the value will be 0. And if there is 50% chances of something happening, then the probability is 0.5. So 0.5 probability value represents certain event or a particular event is going to happen having chance 50%. It can happen or it cannot happen. For example, in case of tossing a coin having head or tail, okay, tossing a coin having sides, head and tail, if it toss that coin, either will get head or will get tail. So the possibility or the probability of getting head is 0.5, whereas probability of getting a tail is also 0.5. So we say there are 50% chances of getting head or 50% chances of getting tail. So this is what we have in the second and third property. Then we have formula for probability. It is nothing but total number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes. For example, for tossing a single coin, the possible outcomes are head and tail. And if we have an event of getting head, okay, so event of getting head, total number of favorable outcome will be 1. So it will be 1 divided by total number of possible outcomes are 2. So the probability of getting head is 1 by 2, which is 0.5. Then probability of getting tail is again 0.5. Note that there are two outcomes, and if we add the probability of events of getting head and of getting tail, then we'll get the probability value equal to 1. So it will be half plus half equal to 1. Now let us see some tricks for exams. After drawing a frequency distribution table, we have to add all the frequencies and check once whether the sum is same as the number of observations. For example, here we have a set of heights of 14 girls in centimeters. So the number of observations will be equal to 14. Okay. So here we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we are going to write the category which is heights. So the observations would be 145, 137, 135, 130. So other than these four numbers, there are no other numbers included in the data set. So we are writing these four numbers under the category heights in centimeter. Then we are going to write tally marks. Okay. For example, the observation 145, let us see how many times it is repeated. So here we have 145, 145, 145. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 145. So we have tally marks 1, 2, 3, 4, and the slant line represents the fifth observation. So we have number of girls having heights 145 centimeter as 5. Then we move towards 137. So where is 137? 1, 2. Okay, we have 2, 137. So tally marks will be represented by 2 eyes and frequencies 2. Next we have 135. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we should have here 4 girls, but here we have entered 2. We should have here 4. Then we have 130, which is 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 130s. So we have the observation 3 times. So frequency is 3. Some of the frequencies, if you add this 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3, you will get 12. But number of observations is 14. In this case, we need to recheck the frequencies of all the numbers. Correct? That's why here we have found that the number of girls having height 135 is not 2, it is 4. Let us see some tips to read a bar graph. While reading a bar graph, you have to check the scale of the graph. That is how much one unit represents. And based on the scale, you have to calculate the original frequency or the actual frequency. So when you calculate the actual frequency of a category, you must multiply the height of the bar and scale of the bar. What it means, for example, the height of the bar in a bar graph represents the reading as 30 vegetables, and the scale shows 1 unit equals to 20 vegetables. And here we have 10, 30, 50 and so on. Okay. Or we can take it as 20, then 40, 60. Correct? And we have marking at the second unit. So how much is the frequency for this height of the bar? We'll get 40. Let us see tips for reading a double bar graph. So we have to check the key of the graph to understand which bar represents the data set. For example, we have seen the light color bar shows month of July and the dark color shows August. Correct? So when we have two bars like this and one is shaded lightly, one is shaded with dark color, you have to carefully see which key. Okay, which one you have to carefully observe. You have to carefully observe the element key of the graph and scale of the graph, that is how much one unit represents. Correct? When you are drawing a bar graph, always use a sharp and dark pencil, and you have to choose a scale such that the heights of the bars fit in the graph paper. So here you have taken 1 unit equals to 10 vegetables. If you take 1 unit equals to 1 vegetable, then to show 60 vegetables, you need 60 divisions, correct? You need 0, 1, 2, 3 and up to 60. So that will go beyond your graph paper. Or if you take 1 unit equals to 5 vegetable, then there should be 15 markings on your y-axis. That's why it is very important to choose the scale suitably and correctly. Check whether you need to draw a horizontal bar graph or a vertical bar graph. So vertical bar graphs are required when there are large number of categories. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. But if you have 10 categories, then you have to choose vertical line. The height of the bar should match the frequency of the category. So here the height of the carrot bar is 60. Height for the bar of tomato is 20. Height of zucchini we have 30. Height of squash we have 25. Height of potato we have 20. So what this represents? The frequency of carrot is 60. Frequency of tomato is 20. Okay. So 60 carrots are grown in the month of August. 20 tomatoes are grown in the month of, okay, 20 tomatoes are grown in the month of August, and so on. And you should not forget to name the horizontal line and vertical. Here horizontal line represents what? Vegetable, that is category. And vertical line represents frequency, means number of vegetables. Also, you should not forget to write the scale and title of the graph. The title of the graph is number of vegetables grown in the month of August. The scale shows 1 unit equals to 10 vegetables. Let us see tips to draw a double bar graph. Here we are comparing two data sets. First is the marks obtained in English, Maths, Science, Social Studies in the first term. And the second data set shows the marks obtained by a student in English, Maths, Science, Social Studies in second term. So here we have two data sets. First is marks obtained in different subjects in first term, shown by blue color bar, and marks obtained by student in different subjects in second term, shown by orange color. Again, you have to use sharp and dark pencil while drawing the bar graph, and you should choose a scale such that height of the bar fits the graph paper. You need to check whether there are many categories, so you have to take it on y-axis. You have to mark category always on horizontal line and mark the frequency on vertical line in case of horizontal bar graph, and in case of vertical bar graph you have to take vice versa. Then height of the bars While marking the category on the horizontal line, there should be an equal gap between the markings. Okay. So here you can see after these two bars, we have one gap and this gap should be uniform. And this is to differentiate between the set of bars. Also, the height of the bar should match the frequency of the category. Okay. Next, you should not forget to mark the horizontal line and vertical line. You should not forget to write the scale, key and title of the graph. And each category will have two bars corresponding to it in case of double bar graph. Correct? Now let us see some tips to calculate the median. While calculating the median, make sure to arrange the observations in ascending or descending order. For example, here we have 1, 7, 4, 2, 3, 1, 6, 3. Okay. Count the number of observations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are even number of observations. So which one is the median? It is the middlemost number. But please do not rush here. Before finding the middlemost number, if I say the middlemost number here is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 6, 3. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we arrange the observations in ascending order, we have 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, 7. Correct? So here the middlemost number is 3. That's why this is the median. But here we cannot find the middlemost number because these are not arranged in ascending order. Now to calculate mean, if one of the observation is 0, we need to count that observation. So you should not ignore the observation 0. Okay. Because it is also one observation. So here we have 4 observations, not 3. So when you are calculating the mean, you should write 0 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5 and not divided by 3. It should be divided by 4. So we have 12 by 4, which is 4. Note that mean is not from the given set, but it lies between the highest observation 5 and lowest observation 0. Let us see some common mistakes that students do. Data set can have more than one mode, okay? But same is not in the case of arithmetic mean. It should be only one average. So while calculating mode, if two numbers are repeated same number of times, both numbers will be the mode of the given set. For example, we have 3, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, 7, 4, 3, 5, 6, 5, 5, 3. This is the set of observations. Here let us see which number is repeated maximum number of times. Here 3 is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. Then 5 is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. What about 4? It is repeated 1, 2, 3 times. What about 6? It is repeated 1, 2 times. What about 7? It is repeated 1 time. So we can see there are two numbers which is repeated 4 times. So the numbers are 3 and 5. So the mode of the given set is 3 and 5. So there are two modes for this given data set. Arranging the data in ascending or descending order to find median is very important step. So if the observations are not arranged, we will get the wrong median. So for example, if you want to find the median of 3, 4, 6, 2, 9, 11, 12, the number of observation is odd. So in this case, what is the middlemost number? It is 2. But wait, this is not the correct way, because still we have not arranged in the ascending or descending order. So first we arrange in ascending order. So we have 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11. Then if you see the middlemost number, it is 6 and not 2. That's why median is 6 and not 2. So here you should avoid finding median when the number of observation is even. What we are going to do, we are going to add the middle number. So here we have middle number 6 and 9. So adding 6 and divide by 2 will give median. No, you forget one step. The step is to arrange the observations in ascending or descending order. So arranging in ascending order, we have 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 and 11. Number of observation is even. So we are adding the middle two numbers 6 and 7 and dividing by 2. So we have 6.5. So we cannot write as median is either 6 or 7. We have to add them, divide by 2. Note that median is not from one of the observations of the data set, correct? Now let us see some exam tips included for this chapter. First step is you have to practice a variety of questions from NCERT textbooks, exemplar other textbooks, and from previous year question papers. Next, you have to note down all the definitions and you have to glance through the properties. Also, you have to read the given question very carefully and understand it, especially when you're finding the possible outcomes and the favorable outcomes of any event, and you're finding the probability in that case. Or whenever you are solving word problems, you have to observe carefully what is given in the question and what you have to find. So this will help you identifying which definition or which property or formula is required to solve that particular question. Next, you have to check whether you have answered all the questions and sub questions or the parts of the questions. You have to avoid calculation mistakes, so always recheck, especially when you are writing the tally marks and frequency. You have to add the frequency and check if it is equal to the number of observations. Also, whenever you are drawing a bar graph or double bar graph, or you're constructing any graph, always use a sharp pencil. I hope this session was helpful, and if you want to quickly revise the concepts, practice some extra sums and also take a quick test, then Counting Well exam prep kit is here. It lets you quickly glance through the major concepts of your chapter. You can also glance through solved examples, practice questions, and chapter assessments. You will also understand the tips and tricks, common errors that you make, etc. Over 75,000 students trust Counting Well for their math learning. And even without the exam prep kit, they can learn every day on the app by diving deep into every chapter. You can download the app from App Store or Play Store. Also, stay connected to our channel Counting Well and learn more tricks and tips and ways to avoid common mistakes. We will be revising the chapter Ratio and Proportion, Mensuration from Class 6 in our next live session tomorrow on 25th February at 6:30 p.m. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.